Greetings and welcome to Sparkles and Blessings. I'm Ducky and I'm here in my 25-foot C-Class camper, and we are currently in Blythe, California. We came to get a couple of groceries, and we enjoy shopping more in California. Well, Frank does the shopping. I stay here with the dog, so you might hear him from time to time, and that's okay. So, yeah, I'm always excited to come to California, even if it's just for groceries. I pretty well know for a fact I'm never going to make it to LA or San Diego because that's really expensive, and we have our budget prioritized to camping, making it down to Arizona, camping and groceries and all the vices and whatnot, and then money to get back. And we don't spend money when we're down here because we frankly just have enough to come down here, enjoy the winter, and go back. I feel truly blessed, and I have done a lot of sightseeing in my long life, and I'm very grateful that I'm able to do this. One of my bucket list things was always to get an RV and travel, and we're doing it. It's a little tricky, and we're really careful with our pennies. When we started camping, I had to give up my oh goodness, $200 to $300 budget when I was working, for makeup, for hair, for coloring the hair, for manicures, fancy clothing. You know, um, I just don't do that anymore. I buy lipstick. Let's see, it would be Lise Wattier Grenadine, I think, and it's done very well by me for the past 20 years, I guess. So I'm happy to be back and recording again. I'd like to say hello to my sister. I want to say hello to my kids. I want to say hello to my grandkids. I want to say hello to my friends. And I'm thinking of you. And I am doing this Sparkles and Blessings project for my grandchildren because I want to save my stories for them. They're worth saving. I've been keeping them for a long time. And so I want to start in on a story that's probably the story of a lifetime. And I've been saving it, and I'm worried that I'll never get to tell it. And that would be a shame because it is probably one of the most beautiful stories I know. And I'm part of it, which, I mean, wow. So, this story begins, and I won't be able to finish it all in one video, but I'll tell it in increments. There goes my dog. Yeah, there's a truck pulling in, and he's he's telling him who holds the cards. So anyway, this story happened in Germany when I guess I was still 5 years old then. My mother had flown us over, and I stayed there for 2 months, maybe 3 months, with my grandparents. Um, I knew something was up when I was 5 years old when my father marched me into my bedroom, and he grabbed my piggy bank that was on my cupboard, and he says, "We're going to open this now because you are going to be going to visit Oma and Opa in Germany." And it was a very modest piggy bank. I had nickels and pennies, basically. There were a few dimes and even fewer quarters. But he made it a point. Let's open up your piggy bank, and we're going to put the money towards your trip to Germany. And I was so happy to be seeing my grandparents in Germany. I'd never been on a plane before, and I really didn't realize the scale of it all. But I willingly gave them that money so that, yes, I could help provide for the trip. So it was a very cold January morning when my mother and I, she in her coat, and me in my new coat, we boarded a plane in Toronto, and we landed in Greenland. No, Iceland. We landed in Iceland for weather purposes. It was getting very, very wintry there, so we landed and spent some time in Iceland. And overnight, my mother went right up to the desk and said, my daughter is hungry. She hasn't eaten. Please feed her." And they found me a plate of potatoes and peas. And they apologized that it was just potatoes and peas. And I said, "No, no. Even at 5 years old, I'm grateful. I like potatoes and I like peas." So I was a happy little girl. And then my mother found a bunk bed for me, which is kept for travelers. And I slept away the night in a bunk bed in Iceland. And I don't remember much about it, except that I was awoken several hours later. It was still dark out, and Mother said, we're gonna be flying now." So it was still dark outside when we boarded the plane, and I looked out my window, and I couldn't see the tops of the snow piles they had made as they were shoveling the lanes, the airway lanes. So we took off, and we finally landed in Germany. And that is where I'm going to leave it for now. I'll pick it up again. I just wanted to start it because I don't like my videos being too long. I only have a tiny attention span. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to catch up and tell you the rest in our next episode. I want to thank you for being here. It means a lot to me to share my stories. And I hope you have a good day. This is Ducky out. Bless.